Alright, Trekkies and Trekkers, time for the final episode review of the day, which is Sanctuary. Kira and Reese underwent a day of frustrations the previous day with Minister Rosen fighting bureaucratic excuses concerning the logistics for irrigating the Trelar Peninsula in Bajor. Kira's sense of urgency feels Bajor is really in dire trouble. Unfortunately, she put off gathering next month's duty roster for Commander Sisko, and so Sisko calls her in his office to remind her. He also kept her busy, as her frustrated voice carried in ops. She promises to drop it and get the roster done. Chief O'Brien then relays a message from Quark, and so Kira goes down to the bar. She finds several Bajorans enjoying a sonata by Varani, but Quark sees customers not ordering any food or drink. Despite agreeing to have Varani play for a month, he'd like to see something more upbeat so more people come in and spend in Latinum. She relays the request to Varani, but wishes there could be a more appropriate venue for him. Varani's passionate about bringing back the Bajorans' artistic heritage. Particularly, he wants to rebuild the Jolanda Forum, and asks Kira to talk to Minister Bulka about it, but she says Bulka is very busy these days. All this activity is interrupted by a new ship appearing through the wormhole. The ship is damaged, and 4 Skreans are beamed aboard while their ship is tractored in. Sisko introduces himself, but they are frightened. As they attempt to communicate, Sisko and others realize that the Skreans don't appear to understand what they are saying, nor could the crew understand the Skreans. They resolve to keep the Skreans talking until the universal translator can make sense of the Skrean language, and decide to bring the group of them, Hanik, Tumak, Guy, and Cowell, down to the infirmary to tend to the wounds of one. This trip, unusually adventurous for watching the infirmary, reveals that the single female Skreen, Hanik, appears to be the leader of the group. She only appears to trust Kira, the only female so far that has dealt with the Skreans. After Dr. Bashir treats Tumak's hand wound with a dermal regenerator, the Skreans arrive at quarters prepared for them, and Sisko greets them with some mouse stocks to show them what to do. After some further attempts at communication, the computer begins sporadically, but soon adequately, to translate the Skreen language. It is revealed that some 3 million Skreen refugees are trouble in the Gamma Quadrant, and needs the crew's help to inform their people of the wormhole and travel through it. Hanik is now communicating well, and waits with the senior staff for Sisko and Ops. She explains her present and current nervousness is due to the presence of many males, as theirs is a female-dominated society, though she herself is little more than a farmer. She then goes into their situation. Their people have mistaken the eye of the universe. As legend says it is the gateway to their new homeworld, Kantana. They heard about the wormhole and believed it to be the eye. Sisko, Dex, and Kira resolve to welcome as many Skreans onto the station as is possible, and quickly search for a suitable planet for the Skreans to colonize. Ominously, Nigok explains that their race was freed from servitude to the T-Rogorans when that race was in turn conquered by a Dominion member. Hanik, back in her quarters, receives Kira, who wants to have her greet the first group of Skreans when they arrive. She's nervous about this, as she's not a leader at all, but will help to make sure the newcomers know it's safe. Meanwhile, Jake and Nog talk at the upper level of the promenade about the dapple girl Jake saw earlier, Murda, but not quite on a date, as he helped her with homework on entomology. Nog is impressed, and says he couldn't use the excuse of helping someone with their homework to see a girl. They also observe a Skreen and Tumak eating leftover food, unaware he can order for the replicators. They wave hello to him, and he runs away. The arrival of the first large group of Skreens is an awesome sight, as many of them fill the promenade and experience their first taste of freedom. As Skreens begin arriving on the station, there is some cultural tension. Hanik earlier had mentioned that Skreens are matriarchal, as they find males too emotional and adversarial to make significant decisions. Nock finds this to be true, as he is pursued and eventually assaulted by several young Skreens, including Tumak, over a practical joke. Odo stops the children and takes Nog to his office to have him talk to his father, Rom. Quark arrives instead and makes Nog apologize. When Nog leaves, Quark looks down the Skreens for loitering without buying anything, and for the skinflakes they leave around his bar. Later, Nog meets back up with Jake, but runs into the Skreens again. Jake and Nog apologize, but Skreens are impressed and try to attack Nog, leading all the boys to start brawling in the middle of the promenade. Quark breaks it up, but makes it clear to the screens that they have worn out their welcome. Meanwhile, the screens meet and agree that Hanik, as the first to find the wormhole, should lead the screens to Quintana. She is nervous, but says she'll do the best she can. Kira encourages her afterward, saying she's not alone. Furthermore, Veroni introduces himself and presents a gift, saying his people know what it's like to be a displaced people. Shepley accepts it and returns to her room. The gift inspires her to research Bajor, and finds that it fits a relevant description for the new screen homeworld. It is a planet of sorrow, and just outside the wormhole. Dax and Cisco research possible worlds. They sail on Draylen 2, a planet with a temperate climate, good soil, and a long growing season. It should be very suitable for them, and they go to meet with them with the news. But before they can make the suggestion, Hanik announces they've already found it. Bajor. Hanik insists that the Bajoran provisional government be petitioned to let screens immigrate there. After debate to consider the screen's request, the government in the end denies him, for fear that Bajor's problems will both worsen due to and spread the screens. Mr. Rosen and Vedek Surat traveled to DS9 to give the response in person. Verona catches up with Kira beforehand, presuming to know the response, and asks Kira to relay his regret at the eventual denial to Hanik. In Cisco's office, Rosen diplomatically explains that, despite Hanik's assurance that they don't need the Bajorans' help and that their projections on their future growth could be wrong, the government states the risk is too high. Should the screens need help, the Bajorans cannot deny them, and they simply don't have the resources to do so. Furthermore, the land is not guaranteed to be able to be farmed. Hanik is disheartened and turns to Kira for support, but Kira states she agrees with the government. Meanwhile, she finds Tumak at the Rebel Man and tries to be friendly, suggesting Eagleberry retort. Tumak insults Nog, but Jake shakes it off. Tumak is curt with him, disappointed in the decision to go to Draylen 2 and his overall experiences on the station. Hanik considers the situation in her quarters when Kira arrives to talk. Hanik feels betrayed by a supposed friend, but Kira believes it is the right decision. Just then, Cisco calls in to inform Kira that Tumak has taken a screenshot for Bajor, attempting to immigrate by force. Uh-oh. Kira and Hanik arrive on Ops to get more information to communicate with Tumak. He, unfortunately, is unaware that the ship is suffering from a plasma leak, and he also resists communication. While Cisco and Hanik are attempting to warn him, a pair of Bajoran interceptors move in to keep him off Bajor. The Bajorans are under direct orders from General Hazar not to let them land, so they contact him directly to stand them down. He does so, but both parties have already exchanged enough fire for Tumak's ship to explode all by itself from the damage of the phaser fire igniting the radiation leak. In the end, the objective screens abruptly leave for Draylen 2. Kira meets up with Hanik at the airlock to wish her luck, and that she still thinks Draylen is the best choice for them and Bajor. Hanik responds she believes it's a terrible mistake the Bajorans are making, insisting that the two races could have helped each other through their troubles. She pities the Bajorans for the suspicion and mistrust gained from the occupation, and leaves without any parting words save for one last cutting remark. You were right, Kira. Bajor is not Quintana. Oh, that's sad. So anyway, let's look at some background information with this episode, beginning with story and script. Frederick Rappaport selected a story that was pitched by Gabby Stowe and Kelly Mills that had not been used by the writing staff. Rappaport commented that, quote, the idea for Sanctuary is pretty basic. Alien boat people are rescued by Deep Space Nine, and millions more are coming behind them. That's basically what they had, and it wasn't working. Rappaport created the characters of Hanik and Tumak and plotted an ending in which Skria were allowed to settle on Bajor due to their botanical skills. Michael Piller decided to plot a downbeat ending to this episode and avert the happy ending of Frederick Rappaport's original teleplay. Piller felt that the episode would carry more resonance if things didn't turn out okay for everyone. Frederick Rappaport appreciated the change of the ending, commenting, quote, I worked hard to come up with a twist for the story, but the happy ending wasn't just as strong as what we ultimately came up with. Michael Piller pointed out that, in reality, when a foreign group of people come en masse to someone else's homeland, the natives seldom greet them with open arms and allow them to stay. Michael felt that the Bajorans should do the same thing, and was pleased that he saw it that way. It was a brilliant stroke, and I admired his guts. The writers had difficulty finding a uniqueness to the Scoria, but were citing that their skin would flake. Ira Stephen Bear commented, quote, "There's something just disgusting and intrusive about an alien race that comes and leaves bits of themselves on your table and on your glasses." Yep, I could definitely agree with that. So anyway, and now on to the production of this episode. Excuse me. The screen makeup is one of makeup supervisor Michael Westmore's favorite makeups due to its simplicity and effectiveness. The bumpy skin makeup was created by combining little pegs of pumice found in a hobby train shop with liquid latex, which was then applied to the actors' faces and dried. The main screen ship seen Dr. Deep Space Nine was a reuse of a Permalian battlecruiser model from Booby Trap. Glenn Newfield and David Takamura created some of the background Skria ships out of parts from model planes, cars, and tanks. William Scalard, who previously played Niz Boris in the original series episode The Troubled Tribbles, guest starred as Verani in this episode. Scalard commented, quote, "I never watched the show, so I was at a bit of a loss. The only person I knew that was Armin Shimmerman. I knew him from our both being involved in the Screen Actors Guild. I knew his wife as well, Kitty Swink. I'm one of the trustees of our pension and health plan, and she's very big on that. I like her a lot. She's a really intelligent person. I had to see when on a visitor. I had to play a musical instrument. It happens that I'm a trained musician and I've played the piano all my life. I'd been a folk singer at one time, so I could play guitar, but I never played wind instruments. This thing they gave me had nothing on it to suggest where your fingers were supposed to go, and they were playing a specific tune. So I had to sort of imagine in my mind that these various fingers were associated with various notes. I tried my best to duplicate what the tune of the song was. I got kind of close, but I didn't get it exact. That was the most difficult thing I had to do on the show. The acting part of it was fairly simple." Kitty Swink, who plays the character of Minister Roseanne, is Armin Shimmerman's wife. Sherman commented, quote, "I was very proud of her. There was a sort of stigma about hiring a spouse, and I'm glad she broke it." And now finally on to some trivia surrounding this episode. The music for Ron is playing at Quarks in the beginning of the episode is a variant of the Deep Space Nine theme song. This episode marks the second reference to the Dominion. The first reference was in Rules of Acquisition. The unidentified Dominion member raised that Hanik mentioned as having conquered the Tirogarans was presumably the Jem'Hadar. Guesser Andrew Cohen, who plays Tumak, was Walter Koenig's son. This episode is the first of 4 Star Trek appearances by Leland Orser. Next to the horrible dress Hanik sees in the clothes shop on the promenade, that was worn by Urena Code of Honor, and Janice Meinham and Will Always Have Paris can be seen. The horrible dress itself was worn by Sandra Wilde in the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Deja Q and Altered. It was also sold off on the It's a Wrap sale and auction on eBay. This episode takes place on the exact same Stardust TNG Season 7 episode Parallels, which was broadcast the same week. After Varani's performance, the Bajorans in the bar, including Kira, clap as humans do. In earlier and later episodes, they clap with their palm to the back of their hand. Varani is one of the few Bajorans not to wear an earring. Hanik, the lead Skria woman, occasionally wears the same purple tie dress that Picard's, or other Kamen's wife, Aline, wears in The Inner Light. She also wears the dress over a long-sleeve shirt. That's interesting. So I think this is a pretty darn good episode, and it is kind of a bummer that the screens didn't get to settle on Bajor, so yeah. So anyway, so overall I give the episode Sanctuary 5 warp cores out of 5. One day tune in more as we take a look at the next episode, Rivals. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.